you may have heard Michigan fired Ward Manuel. And then they asked him to stick around for the rest of the year to finish at Michigan, as one does after a scandal-ridden career. Now, technically, Michigan says Manuel volunteered to step down, okay, because apparently in Ann Arbor, you're allowed to just resign right after the university announces that leadership at the highest levels failed, that you were a part of, but only after you finish the season and help design the reforms caused by those exact failures that you were a part of. That is not a clean break. That is a man being shown the exit and handed a clipboard and saying, before you leave, could you tell us exactly how to fix everything that you screwed up? And look, I know, I get what Michigan fans are going to say. JR, he wasn't fired. He chose to step down. Yeah, okay, I get it. And when a coach, mutually parts ways, I guess, after going 4-8, I suppose that's just two friends calmly deciding to explore different offensive philosophies. But look, Michigan's official language is very polite here, of course. They're trying to keep this professional, make it polite. I get that. But the situation is not complicated. The university spent nearly $12 million investigating its athletic department, identified failures of oversight and accountability, and announced that Manuel was leaving. And then they asked him to remain on through the end of the year as an advisor helping implement reforms. And probably one of the reasons why is because they still don't have a president. Now, a very unfortunate situation with the brain cancer and everything that happened the last president they hired, so I don't want to make light of that. But this is what you get when you let a scandal-ridden athletic director stick around for nearly 10 years. I think will probably be 10 years by the time he's done. So in this episode of the Buckeye Huddle podcast, I'm going to explain why that makes absolutely no sense, how Michigan spent nearly $12 million to discover it may need some more meetings, I guess, why its football program is apparently too large for adults to supervise, and how a university can investigate itself, declare itself mostly fine, and still replace nearly everybody that's in charge. And Buckeye fans, if you're enjoying this situation, because you probably are enjoying this situation, because sometimes your rival gives you a football game, sometimes your rival gives you some recruiting drama, and sometimes your rival gives you an 8-figure corporate comedy special to read about online and make jokes about and everything else, because that's pretty much what it's been at Michigan these past few months and really past few years. So I'm John with BuckeyeHuddle.com, where you'll find the deep Ohio State coverage, elite recruiting intel from TJ and the guys, none of the toxic noise, but you will get us checking in on the school up north from time to time, as we're going to do in this episode. So let's get into it. Michigan commissioned an outside review of its athletic department following the Sherrod Moore situation, as you should probably do when you have as many issues as you had going on there. The law firm reportedly conducted approximately 350 interviews, received information from around 90 people through a hotline, and examined more than 20,000 pages of documents. That review has already cost close to $12 million. And what did Michigan discover after 6 months and $12 million later? Hundreds of interviews, enough paperwork to build a second big house out of print paper. They figured out their weaknesses were basically accountability. Their weaknesses were oversight. Their weaknesses were organizational structure. Their problems were with reporting. And just being honest, I could have told you that for $12. So in other words, Michigan spent $12 million and discovered that the people responsible for knowing what was happening did not always know what was happening. And then they did not know something. The system for doing something about it was especially effective, right? Then the university announced that Ward Manuel would step down, but not immediately. Can't happen right now. He's so imperative. He's so important. Can't happen right now. He's expected to remain on until the end of the calendar year. We are in July, about to be August right now. So that's what, 4 or 5 more months at this point. And during that period, Michigan says it will serve. He will serve as a special advisor helping implement the reform. So it doesn't sound like he's going to be the athletic director, but I also question how quickly they're going to hire an athletic director when they still don't have a full-time president. It's not full-time. Right now they have an interim president. So that's like firing your defense coordinator because nobody knows the coverage assignments anymore and then asking him to spend the next 5 months installing the new secondary system for you. Just doesn't make any sense. At some point, you have to pick one. Was Ward Manuel a central reason the department needs reform, or is Ward Manuel the person uniquely qualified to deliver that reform? Because Michigan is currently arguing both. You need to go, and you've caused all the. You need to go because you caused all this, and you need to stick around because we need you to stop all of this. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised at all. The university has shown time and time again they are not a serious, athletic department right now. The university has not been serious. The way their president acted during the whole Connor Stallions incidents with Bet and everything else, a complete lack of professionalism and not serious work, in my opinion. So, I mean, you literally have the university essentially saying, Ward, did things under your leadership became unacceptable. We need major changes. Could you remain in charge, helping us make those decisions? Which is crazy, but it's almost for sure because they know they can't fire him, or else he would sing about all the other things going on behind the scenes. They know are already wrong. So, if you don't believe me, just look at how they won't release the real details from the nearly $12 million investigation, which is a complete embarrassment as well. Even John U. Bacon is talking about that because the most they said actually came from their interim president himself, who said the review identified interference, poor oversight, and failures of accountability by the highest levels of university leadership. He said this must change, and that sounds urgent, but it's not language you normally follow up with, and we're going to circle back in 5 months. I mean, if this needs to change, you would think it needs to change now, but of course they're in a number of situations, and also who knows what Ward Manuel knows and would sing about if they did just fire him right on the spot. So if your roof is leaking and the contractor tells you the entire support structure needs immediate attention, you don't say, great, let's schedule it for repair after bowl season, but that's what Michigan wants Manuel there for until the end of the calendar year. Why? I mean, why does that make so much sense other than the president and maybe he knows too much? I guess, to be fair, the believable explanation is continuity. Maybe they don't want a messy athletic director transition during football season or as football season's about to start. I get that under normal circumstances, but 24 scandals in less than 10 years is not normal circumstances. If they actually wanted immediate accountability, they would take immediate action. But Michigan wants their cake and they want to eat it too. They want the public benefit of announcing change right now so people see what they're doing and say, oh, great job, you found things out, without accepting the operational inconvenience of actually changing leadership right now. So Manuel is leaving, but staying. He is responsible. He is irresponsible, but still not trusted. The university needs a reset, but after the Ohio State game, I mean, this is some elite level administrative clock management, I guess you could call it at this point. And I don't mean to get into the politics here of all this, but like if you're a taxpayer, what did the nearly $12 million actually do? Because the investigation itself was has become one of the funniest parts of the entire story. To be clear, reviewing serious concerns is not inherently wasteful. Like that is something you need to do, but universities should investigate credible problems and let people know about those problems, especially people who, donate and give time and money to the university. They should protect athletes and employees. They should have real reporting structures and real accountability. But when you spend close to $12 million, people naturally expect a little bit of a conclusion, slightly more specific than we need clearer responsibilities. I mean, that sounds like feedback from a manager after the company picnic just went poorly, I guess. So Michigan's reform plan includes stronger compliance independence, improved human resources procedures, they say, which, yes, you definitely need that after the head coach was, basically, with the secretary, or not the secretary, I forget what her role was, but you know what I mean. Standardize investigative policies is another thing they're saying. Better escalation protocols, more consistent documentation, additional leadership oversight. I mean, all kinds of things, regular reporting to the president and regents, and potentially a dedicated administrator for football. There's also talk that there may be an athletic board. They're going to have the strongest administrative two deep in the country at this point. So sorry, Kyle Whittingham, we don't have the money for your left tackle out of the portal. We have to pay the athletic department two deep. I mean, this feels like simplifying the chain of command, more like it feels like simplifying the chain of command, and more like feels less like simplifying the chain of command, and more like adding six more people to a group chat because nobody answered the original message that you sent. Then we arrive at my favorite explanation in the report. Michigan football presented unique oversight challenges because the program's prominence, organizational structure, large roster, coaching staff, and support operation. Translation: Michigan football was apparently too big to supervise because apparently they are the only large athletic program in the country. They are the only large football program in the country. Look, Michigan's explanation almost makes the football program sound like an unsupervised warehouse. I mean, nobody knows exactly where aisle 7 is. Someone is maybe wearing a fake mustache near the sporting goods. Please notify the manager if you see anything unusual. And yes, I get it. Michigan Athletic Department is an enormous athletic department. I get it, but so is Ohio State too. Alabama is enormous. Georgia is enormous. Texas has enough money and support staff to establish its own, small municipal government there as well. I mean, this is precisely why elite universities are expected to create stronger systems around football, not explain weak systems by pointing out that football is important. It's precisely why you hire an athletic director who can actually handle all of this stuff. But Ward Manuel, it's clear he was never actually able to handle all of this, nor was he able to put the people in the right places to be able to handle it under him. Michigan did not suddenly discover last December that its football team was popular. The Big House was not constructed overnight. This has been one of the largest and wealthiest, most visible programs in college athletics for decades. So when the explanation is football requires particular strong oversight because it's so big, the natural response is correct. That was the assignment. You should have done that. You're basically just telling us that the guy that you're keeping on for a few more months cannot do the job and has not done the job. Again, maybe his role will change and they'll hire somebody else as an athletic director, but him staying on fixing the problem when he couldn't fix the problem when he had the job is pretty telling. So sounds like you had a guy in charge who didn't know that. Why was he in charge in the first place? And the report found that Michigan's existing football oversight mechanisms were not sufficiently effective and recommended stronger leadership, clearer responsibilities, better reporting relationships, and improved compliance process. This is significant, all right, because Michigan is not merely changing its own athletic director, it is reconsidering how football reports to the university. The school is evaluating whether football should have a dedicated sport administrator. That person could become a powerful new layer between Whittingham and the athletic director, I guess, the president, the board of regents. That creates a real football question beneath the comedy of all of this other stuff that's going on. So how much freedom will Kyle Whittingham actually have? He was hired by an athletic director who is leaving. A new athletic director will be hired through a national search. A permanent president is still part of the larger institutional transition, and Michigan may install a dedicated administrator over football. Whittingham could begin the season as the clear adult in the room and finish it just needing permission from an entirely new chain of command. And that matters for Ohio State, for Ohio State fans, because administrative instability eventually does reach recruiting and roster management and everything else. Maybe not the recruit as much, but a recruit's family wants to know who is the head coach, who the head coach is, who the athletic director is, who's going to be around to take care of all these things, who's the general manager, all of those things. His family wants to know who runs the department and who's going to be there taking care of my kid. An assistant coach wants to know wants to know who approves his contract. A donor wants to know who controls the direction. Michigan can still recruit at a high level because because of its money that it has and everything else, but brand power and a massive fan base involve this too. But nobody should assume the total football program is going to collapse, because uncertainty creates an opening, and Ohio State can make a very simple pitch. You know who is making the decisions in Columbus. You know what the football operations look like. You know what the development is, stability, and not most exciting recruiting graphics will tell you that. But it becomes valuable when your rivals need an organizational chart just to identify everyone involved in disciplining the strength coach, which, this should be basic stuff. This should be easy stuff that everybody has, but apparently for them it's not. We should talk about how they want you to believe things were, quote, not widespread amid their 24 scandals in 10 years. Michigan says the investigation did not find widespread misconduct across the athletic department. Yeah, okay, but the same summary describes weaknesses in accountability, oversight, reporting, and organizational structure, as I mentioned before. It discusses concerns involving retaliation, identifies failures to act quickly and effectively on allegations of wrongdoing. It calls the concerns serious and says they require immediate action. Then Michigan announces its athletic director is leaving, but do not worry, nothing was widespread. Maybe misconduct was extremely committed to social distancing. It existed, but it always remained 6 feet away from the next incident. I guess you could say that. So this is where we do need to be fair somewhat. The words not widespread doesn't mean that nothing happened. It likely means the investigators just did not find evidence of like one coordinated department-wide conspiracy that was going on, which again should point more toward Ward Manuel did not have control of what was going on. So that matters. It just sounds funny when all the chaos and everything that's been happening there. Separate failures can occur in different places without everyone participating in one grand plan. But Michigan is using the most comforting phrase available from the report while withholding the underlying report itself. So far, it looks like the full investigation will not be made public, with privacy and attorney-client privilege cited as reasons for it all, and basically they're just trying to cite anything they can so that people don't figure out everything that's in there, I personally think. So Michigan released a summary, and they had like a frequently asked questions page describing the conclusion. So the public is being told, trust the summary. The report is serious enough to justify replacing the athletic director, restructuring compliance, reconsidering how football oversight is done, and creating a new investigative procedure. But it's not serious enough for the public to be able to see it, which is a joke that just writes itself at this point. So, and then you see the leadership turnover, which is just a whole other joke in itself. According to the material in the documents, Michigan has been through 5 acting football head coaches, right? That includes interims, 3 full-time basketball head coaches, and 2 athletic directors within just the past 36 months. So, but of course, they want you to believe the culture is fine. Everybody is responsible. Everybody responsible for the culture keeps leaving. Michigan's leadership structure currently looks less like an athletic department and more like the final 10 minutes of musical chairs. The music stops and everybody grabs an office, and the music starts again, and someone goes off to the NFL, someone resigns, someone becomes interim, and someone is asked to remain through December while advising the replacement search. It's all just a mess is really what it is. So Kyle Whittingham is kind of the one that's just standing in the middle of the room wondering whether he should learn people's names or whether he should just wait for the next organizational update at this point. So the fair response from a Michigan fan is that leadership turnover can also create improvement. That's what they'll say. And that is true to some extent. Manuel's departure could lead Michigan to hire a sharp outside athletic department with no attachment to the tradition and the Michigan Man Network. A new AD may modernize the entire operation. Whittingham may stabilize football. A permanent president may create clear authority. The reforms may genuinely improve reporting accountability. So while, yes, Ohio State fans can enjoy the embarrassing moment for Michigan, we also know that they will not remain dysfunctional forever. Now, are they going to be what they were, winning multiple national championships? No, obviously that was happening with rules just not being considered, and nobody really cared about what was going on, because the uncomfortable possibility is that Michigan will most likely fall back to what they were in most cases. They could win national championships again at some point, but probably not have the same run that they had with football and then follow that up with basketball. The previous leadership group produced championships, but they also did it with extreme chaos all around. The next leadership may be more competent and less entertaining, so I guess savor the transition at this point. We may never get as entertaining of an administrative group as we did before, so we'll see what's going on here. Their official statement they announced said that our leadership structure failed. The athletic department is leaving. We will now help lead the leadership reforms. Which, what else are you going to say? So at the end of the day, we'll see where all this goes. Maybe it all works. Maybe Ward Manuel provides a smooth transition. Whittingham stabilizes football, and the next AD turns Michigan into a more professional operation. That seems, not all of that seems unlikely to me, but it doesn't, the dreams do not seem likely to me at this point. So, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Indiana did just win a national championship in football, so I guess anything's possible. I mean, Michigan did fire Ward Manuel. Then Michigan asked Ward Manuel to help fix Michigan, and sometimes the rivalry jokes just kind of write themselves. Michigan serves them up on a hot platter with like a hot and ready Little Caesars pizza for you. I was like, Pizza Hut's not hot and ready. But what do you think? What's the funniest part for you? Is it the $12 million report? Is it the delayed departure? Manuel becoming a reform advisor for Michigan football? Or is it Michigan football being too big to supervise for all of them? Let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please do like, subscribe. If you're listening on podcasts, a 5-star rating review always helps there as well. We greatly appreciate it. We hope you have a good one, and we'll see you next time.